Hello and welcome to a new programming series where we'll be learning to build interactive websites with HTML to help define the content of our websites, CSS to style it and make it look aesthetically pleasing, and finally JavaScript to make those web pages interactive. This first video of the series will mainly focus on the basics of HTML, a brief explanation of what it does and its capabilities, and how to set up the environment so that we can test our own HTML code that we write in the future. So firstly, let's go over the basics of the language itself. The content of all websites is built upon HTML behind the scenes, and you can prove this by selecting View Page Source when on a page in your browser in the right-click menu and viewing all the HTML code that makes up that page. Additionally, it was created over 30 years ago and has received a lot of updates over the years which add new features to the language. Right now, the current version of HTML is HTML5, which has over 100 different elements, each of which can add something different to a page. Additionally, HTML is a popular choice for building websites due to its simple syntax, which is very easy to understand and learn for beginners, and it is also universally supported, meaning that every browser can parse it and render it correctly, meaning it's a universally understood way of creating websites. Now that we have a good general idea of what HTML is, let's learn how we can write our own HTML code now and view it rendered in the browser. So this first method involves saving the HTML code locally on your computer and viewing it in the browser through a file path. So the first step in order to do this method is to create a new text document in a directory somewhere where you can remember where it is, and then you can just leave this file as the default name, new text document for now, and you can open it with an editor of your choice, such as Notepad or TextEdit, which are built in, or if you have Notepad++ or VS Code installed, those are also pretty good options. But I'm just going to use Notepad here for simplicity. And so the next step is to click File, Save As, navigate to the directory, which it's already navigated to for me, and then select Save As type All Files, so that way you can save it as a .html file and then call it some descriptive title like my page, for example. You can call it anything you want, but it has to end with .html so that the browser knows it's an HTML file and it's a web page that you're loading up and not anything else. So click Save, and then a new .html file will be created in the directory, and you can double click on it to open it in your default browser, and then when you make changes to this mypage.html file and then refresh this new browser tab that's opened, you'll be able to see the results in the browser. Another option for testing HTML code in the browser is to use a pre-made sandbox. More specifically, you can go to this GitHub repo which I published and select Coding Sandbox, this folder. This will be linked in the description too. And then there will be an index.html file which you can download. Next, navigate to the place where you've downloaded this index.html file, and I'd recommend moving it to a new folder first so that you can keep track of where it is. I've just created an HTML sandbox folder. So you can drag this file into it, and then you could double click it and it'll open in your default browser. This is what I will be using for this entire series because I'm familiar with this sandbox, this code editor, and it's much more convenient than having to open a file on Notepad and constantly refresh to see the output. So that's everything that we're going to cover in this episode, but the next episode we'll be going over the basic structure of HTML pages, when we'll finally start to code our own websites. Thank you very much for watching.